the lines on the old one.
Yeah.
They can-
Allowed to just cut them.
We're gonna call the
I
meeting.
gotta have to get Mike. I have to get Mike because I want to confirm it's off.
We'll call the meeting to order. And do we have any additions or deletions to the agenda?
Mr. Deputy Mayor, members of council, sorry, I just about said Mr. Mayor. Administration has no additions or deletions for tonight's meeting.
Perfect. And who wants to do the approval of the agenda? Connie?
I'll make the motion. Deputy Mayor Joanne.
Connie. And public input, we don't have any. Vote. We don't have any delegations.
You need to vote on the agenda.
Pardon me?
You need to vote on the motion.
Oh, sorry. I guess I call the question to approve the motion for the approval of the agenda. All in favor? Thanks, Dwayne.
That was Dina.
Okay, and we have a presentation from the Council Remuneration Review Committee.
It's not.
He's gonna sit in the background on you.
Why are they here?
Moral support.
You want me to sit beside you also?
That's okay.
Come on up, Ken.
All right.
Maybe one of my cards, solitaire game.
Good evening, your worship, wherever you are in space. Council and administration, thank you for having us today.
Thanks for having us on the committee. So, as chair of the council remuneration review committee, I've been tasked with presenting our recommendations after completing a review of council's remuneration. We've completed the comprehensive review of the Town of Redwater's council compensation, including base pay, per diems, benefits, and the reimbursements. Our analysis was completed with the comparative data, the existing policies, and the local context. We aim to be fair, transparent, and consistent with similar municipalities. The formation of the committee was intended to establish a framework for determining compensation for future councils. On behalf of the committee, I would like to thank the council for the opportunity to contribute to this decision. Would help if I brought my glasses. So, on the committee was Ken, Les, and Liz. And then Ken Harnock had to step down because it was tax season. So, you guys have any questions for us?
No.
You have to make a motion first.
No, it's just a presentation.
Did you want us to go through what we,
If you want.
because you guys have read through it, have you not?
Let's hear what Connie has to say first.
Okay.
First of all, I'd like to say that I read it twice. I'm very impressed with it, and I'm so proud to have people in Redwater that, you know, help the council move forward. We all appreciate the hard work you put into this, and it's a fabulous document.
Thank you.
I didn't bring it with.
Thank you. I see that you're proposing a 10% cut in our remuneration rate and honorarium. And it also looks like you want to start, or suggesting that we start getting paid for our council committee meetings. Like MPC, structure policy, and all that. So, really isn't gonna be much of a tax savings or savings.
I don't think we were after tax saving. We were looking for something for parity in participation areas. And understanding what you guys go through in an entire, well, say a month, when you're going through your portfolio, I think it even surprised you guys when we were interviewing you about how much time it actually took people to do something. So with that small amount of a cut, at the same time, we didn't want a real cut. We wanted you to be still reimbursed for work well done.
You also mentioned, though, within the cut, that we are still quite a bit higher than municipalities of our size and even bigger,
That's probably because we're the best.
so.
Thanks, Les.
I think part of our thought process there was that, you still want to attract good candidates. You want to be reasonable, but to cut back, you may not attract those people, right? But then typically, and I can't remember how many years, council has not taken a raise. They have not taken really COLA. So, to kind of keep it static quo, you guys will everybody else should catch up.
But then again, if you're coming to this position, you shouldn't be in it for the money. You're in it to make your community better for future residents, the future of the kids and everything. It's to make it better. The compensation is nice because of the fact that you are being reimbursed somewhat for a little bit for your time. But I've said it, I don't know how many times, if you're here for the money and the benefits and everything else, you're here for the wrong reason. So,
Go ahead.
I agree with what you guys put. I think the cut was good, and maybe it gives more initiative as well for people to go to their meetings and not miss as many. So I kind of agree with that route, so, instead of missing, one here and there, maybe it'd be like, hey, that's part of my pay now, or, yeah.
Well, that's kind of what we were thinking, is that you get compensation for as much as you put in, right?
For the amount of work and time and effort that you put into it, yeah. So the more time and effort that's put into it, you should be compensated for that. So,
And then also too, we threw in there, because I know there was discussion regarding if you are an alternate and some of the bigger boards, right? There's no compensation there. So with the breakdown of the meetings being the 2, half day, we put in a recommendation of compensation for that as well. So then this way, I think it'll encourage the alternate to attend. Because I know when I was on water board, for example, and I've used this one before, that if you don't attend and you all of a sudden have to go, you are clueless. And it kind of defeats the purpose of having anybody attend. If you show up at a meeting and you don't have a clue what's going on, this way I think it would help compensate and attract more people to attend as an alternate as well. Just trying to level, the playing field for all. And
Sorry, I'm like, did it get moved?
and also too, like I said, we wanted to attract, because typically, how many years has there actually been enough to have a vote, right? There's been a lot of years that council's been acclaimed. So you still want to attract new people to the position and quality people.
Go ahead, Dwayne.
So, I agree with Rob and Casey. If you're here for the money, then you shouldn't be here. But the other side of that is the compensation makes it possible for some to actually be here. If the compensation's not adequate enough to take your pay that you would get for the day that you're gone or whatever, then it makes it impossible for you to participate in some of these events. And so I think you guys try to find a fair balance in that, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Tina.
I concur with Dwayne and Connie. I want to thank you all because just by reading the report, you put a lot of hours in yourself doing this report and the legwork and the research as well to come up with what you have. I think it's very fair. It is open to the public more so for more people to have an interest if they would like to run. Increasing the benefits, I agree with that as well. That was a good call. And again, I really thank you all for all the hard work.
Thank you. I'd like to say thank Ken and Miranda and, well, I think Garnet, for all the legwork that they did, because a lot of times they did a lot of the research because they had more access to the information than us. So,
Does anybody else have anything else to say? Comments? No? I just want to say, I agree with what everybody said here. The interview process was a little odd for me, just because you don't, like you said, you don't think about all you put into it, but you really are here for your community, and you just don't realize the time that you put into it. And you have to sit down and think about it. It's like, oh, yeah, holy, But like Rob said, we're here for the right reasons. We're not here for the money, so I think your recommendations are really, really good. 100% agree. Go ahead, Rob.
I found another one here, probably to administration. Fed gas is on table 3, E3, twice. I was wondering sort of why. E3, it's page 32. On the third line, $750 down to $625. And down near the bottom, for an additional $450. I was wondering why.
What I can tell you right now is we'll check the raw data and
See what happens.
see what happens. That probably just got it in one of the iterations of our options, probably got transcribed twice. Deputy Mayor, if I could.
Sorry, go ahead.
So from administration's perspective, working with this committee, quite frankly, it was a pleasure. As I think has been reiterated by councilors, I think the committee did a really good job figuring out the nuances that were in all of the different raw data, because there are a lot of nuances. There is, I think, something that I even learned as I went through this is there is way more than one way to do this. And there are a whole bunch of options that are out there. And I think one of the things that the committee did, and they pushed back on me, one of the first conversations we had was, so what are our principles that we're gonna do this on? And they went, just hang on, Ken, just cool your jets. And what happened was, as they started this discussion, those principles that they wanted to work on became clear, right? And so they didn't start out with those principles, but they formulated during the discussions. And what was really interesting to me, and I'll put this out, hopefully the committee doesn't mind me doing this. When we first did the recommendations, and the committee said, here's what the recommendations are, now come back and finalize the report and tell us what the number is. They didn't know what the number was at the time. And you're gonna look at it and go, well, because they were principally focused. It was the principles and the guiding principles of what the discussions were that were guiding those recommendations. As it turns out, there's a slight savings. But as the committee mentioned to begin with, that wasn't the focus walking in. The focus walking in was we wanted to be fair, we wanted to be equitable, we wanted to be transparent. And it's those principles that guided the recommendations. It wasn't, quote, dollars. So, and I think that's a credit to the committee, because it's really easy to get sidetracked and say, well, we like this principle, but we don't like that number. And they really left the numbers out right until the end. So from my perspective, that's tough to do, especially when you get 4 different or 5 different personalities around the table. And I just want to really thank the committee for the work that they did as well.
Dave, did you have something to say? Sorry, Ken, were you done?
Me?
Oh, Dave, I forgot about Dave up there.
Forgot about him.
You might be able to.
Just good.
Try again, Dave?
Can you hear it now?
You have to turn them up. On the speaker, Jen.
It's,
Can't hear it? How about now?
yeah, we can hear you, but there's too much background. Anyways, go ahead.
Okay, I don't have any noise here, so. But I just wanted to say, as a council, we provided the committee, the ad hoc committee, with an impossible task. What you were asked to do was not going to touch all lines and meet everybody's needs 110%. But I was very impressed with the quality, within content, and the amount of work that you did in this process. So from myself, thank you ever so much. And I heard from council in the background there, they also were pleased with what you have. And for us to be able to give this to a new council down the road for their ratification, if you wish, at some point in time, I think is a huge step forward. So again, thank you for all of the work that you did. It's greatly appreciated.
You're welcome to buy.
It was an interesting process. It was.
Are we good then?
The only thing I was gonna say is, one thing I don't know if it came clear in the document, but it was one thing that we discussed was council has a tendency to not write everything on the timesheets, right? So in this case, by writing everything that you attend on the timesheets, everybody will have a better idea of the time commitment that it takes for new counselors. And then also too, that will dictate the amount in your remuneration, right? So if you don't claim as much, well, then you're gonna get paid less, you know?
It'll also help capturing going forward.
Yeah.
Because those hard questions that we asked in the interview, some of you are like, but because that will be captured and it'll be hopefully more transparent, I guess. Well, I won't say accurate, but it'll be more reflective of your time, then, you know, the next time the remuneration committee is struck, it would be more applicable.
Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you. So you're asking to have the timesheets revamped with a time in, time out type thing?
Oh, I'm not asking any of that.
No, but are you suggesting that?
Well, no,
When you're saying time, it's like I'm gonna sit here, we'll say for an MPC meeting for 25 minutes, right? So,
I think it's more.
that's what I mean, like,
Well, in the, I guess it is part of the recommendation, because we wrote in there, instead of just lump sum for your remuneration, that I think it was under 2 hours, there's a rate,
Yeah.
right? So it's just, I guess, more, I'm saying accountability, but I mean, you go to a 25-minute meeting, typically, have you wrote it down on a timesheet? Probably.
well, because it's for the last 15 years has been part of my remuneration package.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But that was our recommendation, that it be broken out. You know, it's in there, I mean, like, again, it's only a recommendation.
But I'm just thinking to be transparent, you know. If you want, I understood that section was, it was more for administration to get a clear amount, I guess you can say, for going forward by everybody claiming everything.
Yes.
And now, which is, it's fine, but I mean, we have to look at, okay, I'm here for a 25-minute meeting, but a lot of it was prep, like you guys were talking a lot about prep time. You know, so how are you gonna account for that? You know what I mean, so.
But then we also learned too, I mean, some will do more prep than others,
Yeah.
right? And some, you've got your travel, you know. all of that is accounted in there. It was just a thought because, I think it was mentioned with one that, if you go to, not FCM, let's use that as an example.
Alberta Munis.
Alberta Munis, I couldn't think of the name at the moment. One suggestion was,
You didn't have to do prep time.
yeah, and somebody.
You're not prepping for anything with something like that, so.
Right, so then that's just cut like a day rate.
Yeah.
Where some of the others had mentioned that they had accounted for 5 different meetings in that day, right? So which could totally change the amount that, of the money that you would get for that, right? So just by breaking it out this way makes people, I guess, more aware of their time, more accountable, and we figured it would change the amount of your remuneration.
Because it was a good idea where you did put that in there with the seminar or whatever it was. I think it was for conferences and that.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a separate rate, yeah.
A separate rate, yeah, because like you said, we are not doing any prep time or anything, and you did that $50 a meeting, you made $250 for each meeting if you attended all 5 breakout sessions type
Yeah.
thing or whatever.
Counselor Olson, would that be fair?
What?
I don't think that would be fair, doing it that way, like you.
Oh, no, for like, it's the same, like, I've met, members on, Fed Gas, they were the same thing, they're there at the conference and they're getting, by their board, they're getting paid $50 a meeting. They're getting $300 a day for just going to the breakout sessions, and it's just like, whoa.
So, but your 25-minute meeting here, like the one you.
Yeah, the
your
MPC,
example, did you just walk in there with nothing? No, you probably did the prep time.
Yeah, read the agenda and read the package and everything.
Yeah, so
And then
it's
sit
not
down.
really a 25-minute meeting in
No.
total.
But if I'm getting paid $50 for it though, and you're putting time down, people look at that and go, you were there from 3 to 3:22, and you're getting $50. As you know, Les, I'm the devil's advocate.
Yeah.
I'm throwing out what people are gonna be throwing back at us. Like you're making $1,500 a month and then you get paid $50 for this 20-minute meeting. And you go here, you get this, you go here, you get that, and blah, just so on and so forth, so.
Well, my thought was it's more broken out, but in all reality, we
Yeah.
discussed in the meeting, not once while I was on council now or in the past, had I ever heard anybody complain about the amount council was ever getting paid. They'd complain about other things in the town office or the roads, but I have not heard anybody, even during this whole process, talking to other people in town, nobody had ever questioned the amount that council's getting paid. So,
Coffee with me,
I've had many discussions.
with a couple of the guys that I'm
Oh,
sitting.
well, I'm not allowed to order that coffee.
They're a special group.
You better sit at a different table
I
now.
have the wrong equipment for that.
The other thing too that we discussed, because we knew that was going to impact the pay, but we also know that it was impacting the budget because some of those things you guys weren't claiming for. And so when Ken and the team were trying to formulate the budget, if you're not claiming for all the things you could or should be, then it's hard to do any projections when you don't know exactly what dollars and cents I guess they could do a worst case scenario, but that may not even be accurate either. So we figured that this would be a little bit more concise as far as how the money was going out. And recognizing that, yes, there is prep time, but, echoing Doty's comment, I've lived here almost 10 years and I've never ever heard anything about the pay for council. That's never ever come up. The old guys in the IGA or anywhere, they've never complained about, even election time, you don't hear anything about, they get paid too much anyway. You don't hear that. It's just, I don't know, maybe they know better or something, but I've not heard it in all the years I've lived here.
Well, it's all right, but I think this will bring it to the forefront a little bit more because of the fact that the only time people really see what we get paid is if they read the financial statement at the end of the year. And then they just look, and since the paper's moved out of town, we don't even get that in the paper anymore. We used to get the questions from Juanita, you know, how come you made 5,000 more than her or him, and his, because I was deputy mayor for 5 out of the 6 months or whatever, right? So, and that was it, so.
I think right now we don't need to worry. I think you guys did a really, really good report. And at the same time, if as a counselor I choose to put everything I do, and if I choose not to get remunerated for it, at least the documentation is there, and then I can just click on $0. So I think, you know, we've heard some really good comments and stuff. I think we're good. I don't think we need to keep you guys any more longer than
All right. Thanks, guys.
Unless anybody else has.
Thank you
You guys,
again.
thank you.
Good luck.
You want this motion,
Thank you very much.
or are we waiting for the next section?
Yeah, that will.
I know.
Suggesting it. Give you guys some more time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry for being late.
Well, that's what I mean,
I said it was 6:30.
Okay.
Yep.
you need it.
Hey, I guess, Ken, you want to go over the RFP?
Sure. Have a good evening. See you. Yeah. Deputy Mayor and members of council, so, as we heard, the report, it has a number of recommendations in it. What administration is suggesting as the next step for this is, and I'll just go through the motion, that council receive the Council Remuneration Review Committee final report as presented during the presentation section of the meeting, and refer the report to the June 3rd, 2025 regular council meeting for discussion and direction. There's a lot to unpack there, and I understand, and the administration's fully aware that there are, and one of the things that we did in the report was we tried to give you as much of the raw data and some of the options that we, I'll say, seriously considered. And when I say seriously, there was a whole bunch of things that got thrown out, and we did some, you know, quick math on it, and went, maybe not, yada, 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 right? But when we got into the discussions, you know, what if we do this, what if we do that, we tried to line that up and outline it in the appendix. So, if council's comfortable with giving administration direction, we can certainly do that. You know, we'll take that direction right now. What I caution council on is, in order for us to, as administration, to make any changes to any policies, et cetera, it ain't gonna happen for the 3rd. So, if you come back next Tuesday, chance to think about it some more, then on Tuesday you can give us some direction. That'll give us a couple weeks from the 3rd to the, probably give us about 7 or 8 days of actual work time to get something into the council package for the 17th. Then council can decide yes or no, you want to do that. And you can, and there's an option here for council to say, look, we like this, you know, we like this, maybe, you know, and I'll just throw this out, maybe the 10% cut isn't enough. Maybe you want to do a 20% cut on the remuneration. That is council's decision. Again, the idea here is we get this set so that the new council, and we know what we're budgeting for the new council. From administration's perspective, one of the toughest things that we had to do as we went through trying to figure out what the financial impact was, there was two things to refer, there were two things to deal with as we were trying to figure out the impact. One was, what does the current policy say? What would a new policy say? And what's that difference? And then what is council's actual cash outlay at this point in time? Because what we do know, and I think this is what the committee was getting at, is that, and I'm not suggesting this is wrong by any stretch of the imagination, but council doesn't always claim for everything that they can in their package. And, you know, probably the poster child for that was in the benefits, in the benefits package, having the wellness account or the health spending account, right? So that is available for council right now as well, but they don't claim for that. So, and every counselor, when they start, if they're on benefits, if that continues, we don't know whether a counselor is going to opt in or opt out, which is absolutely their prerogative. And we don't know if they're gonna opt in as a single or if they're gonna opt in as a family, because we don't know what like when we put our budget together, we're not gonna know what the results of the election are. So when we did this comparator, we basically said, this is what the current policy says, this is our worst case scenario. Here's what the new policy based on the recommendations would be, and this is the worst case scenario. And that's kind of how we had to put the numbers together. So once council gives us some more direction on how they want to do that, we'll be able to refine those numbers a little bit more. But we'll have to do them based on the worst case scenario for 2026, because we don't know what a council may or may not be comprised of after October 20th. You know, it's a long way of saying we don't know what those numbers are going to say until we actually do two things. One, finalize a new policy, and two, understand what the new composition of council is after October 20th. So again, administration certainly is comfortable with leaving this for a further discussion where council can give some further direction next Tuesday at a council meeting. Then we can go back, make those changes to the policy and give you the further refinement of what those numbers might mean.
Thank you. Go ahead, Tina.
I would make the motion that council receive the council remuneration review committee final report as presented during the presentation section of this meeting and refer the report to the June 3rd, 2025 regular council meeting for discussion and direction.
Do we have any discussion? Go ahead, Dwayne.
I'm struggling with the idea that we'd have enough time, even by June 3rd, to be able to, because there's a lot of other nuances in this report, to actually fully talk about them and really actually, I don't know, even some of the questions that Councilor Olsen had is like, what does this mean? And I don't know if we can all figure that out on June 3rd in a conversation, like in a meeting. It's not that I'm not willing to try, but it's.
Yeah, and I think those are fair comments. And again, the third would be, you get another week to say, okay, here, administration, take a look at this, take a look at this, take a look at this, bring it back on the 17th. That doesn't mean you have to make a decision on the 17th, right? When you see those, what that impact is, you can go, okay, maybe we'd sooner do this or we'd sooner do that, and then we got to bring it back to another meeting. So we're not saying that the 17th would be the final day.
Process then.
Yeah, but the third would kick off that process, give us some direction, then we can come back, give you what that means, whether it be the 17th, you know, we come back then. If council goes, wow, okay, so maybe we're gonna do this, we still have another COW meeting on, what would that be, 17th and 7 is 24th? And then we have we have another council meeting on July 2nd before we break. So theoretically, we have 4 more meetings where we can have this discussion.
And even into September,
Sure.
Absolutely needed.
So I would caution that going into September, by then, we're getting pretty close to finalizing our budget. So we'd have to have some idea of the bigger numbers on what these mean, right?
Say, Dave? No? Okay, I'll call that question. All in favor?
Did Dave vote?
Aye.
Sorry, Dave.
Aye.
We're on to asset management policy.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, members of council. I'll move on to the purpose of the report. So the purpose is to present council with a revised asset management policy for consideration, feedback and review. The revised policy as presented aligns with current municipal best practices and reinforces the town's long-term strategic and operational goals. I won't go over the proposed motion, but I will say that administration supports the proposed motion. In reference to background, the current asset management policy was approved in 2019. Since that time, the town has advanced its asset management practices and is incorporating new industry standards, including alignment with ISO 55000 suite, where applicable. Excuse me. Recent self-assessments, infrastructure risk reviews, and feedback from administration indicated a need for clearer guidance, stronger integration of risk and lifecycle cost principles, and broader organizational ownership. Additionally, a draft of the revised asset management policy was reviewed at the 13th of May 2025 Infrastructure Policy Committee meeting, where a motion was made for administration to present the revised policy to the Committee of the Whole, which is exactly what I'm doing right now. The updated policy introduces several key enhancements. The revised policy introduces clearer sectioning, more concise language, and updated formatting to improve readability for both internal users and external stakeholders through the use of our revised policy template. The updated policy contains more precise definitions, aligning with, as mentioned, ISO 55000 suite, national industry best practice. Expanded purpose and scope, the revised policy more clearly articulates our goals for sustainability, risk management, and lifecycle cost optimization, and applies to all physical assets owned or controlled by the town. In reference to the ISO 55000 alignment, the new version aligns practices with ISO 55000 standards, reinforcing a structured, standardized approach to asset management. Risk and resilience, the inclusion of resilience and risk-based decision-making, including a robust risk framework, is new to the updated policy and reflects modern asset planning practices. Level of service, an emphasis on defining, monitoring, and adjusting level of service with a focus on aligning service delivery to our community expectations. In reference to roles and responsibilities, clearer delineation of responsibilities between council, senior leadership team, departmental leadership, and frontline employees to enhance accountability and internal governance. In reference to guiding principles section, newly introduced, this section outlines 10 modern principles, such as lifecycle management, transparency, collaboration, innovation, and community-centered planning that serve as a foundation for all asset-related decisions. Terminology updates, several new definitions have been added, increases clarity, including triple bottom line, resilience and sustainability, making the document more accessible and consistent with industry terminology. The updated policy represents a more mature, comprehensive, and practical framework to guide asset management here at the town. In reference to financial implications, there are no immediate financial implications resulting from the approval of the policy. However, it provides a framework for more efficient and informed capital planning, life cycle budgeting, and funding applications. In reference to internal impacts, supports cross-departmental alignment and capital planning and maintenance, clarifies staff expectations and roles in asset stewardship and data reporting, encourages a more proactive approach to condition monitoring and life cycle forecasting. External impacts reinforces public accountability through transparent and well-structured asset decisions, positions the town more favourably when applying for senior government funding or participating in collaborative infrastructure programs. And we've been doing a little bit of that as we're aware in reference to our ice plant and our lighting upgrades and things, our EVC infrastructure, those sorts of things. So that helps us gain those things. If anyone's not aware, when we do FCM applications for funding, you actually have to fill out an asset management readiness report, so to speak, scale they call it, and so that's all part of the process. And this is becoming a much greater emphasis across the board for all municipalities in reference to asset management, life cycle costing, disposal, those sorts of things. So having a strong framework certainly helps that. I won't go over the strategic alignment. I think I crossed that path a few times there, and I'm sure you've all read it. In relation to relevant legislation, standards, policies, or plan, Municipal Government Act, the ISO 55000 standard suite. Our strategic plan, obviously, in FCM runs a municipal asset management program, which we've taken advantage of a couple of times to date. And I won't go over the communication plan because we're not at that point yet. But, and as you saw, the old asset management policy is there, as well as this draft. So that's the end of my report.
You got it, Glenn?
I'd like to make the motion that we council direct administration to proceed with the asset management policy as presented to the regularly scheduled council meeting for adoption.
Okay, do we have any discussion?
Go to a council meeting? Is money involved?
It will affect how, it's indirectly tied to the money because it will formulate how we go forward with
Spending.
capital planning,
Yeah.
et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
Okay, so I'll call that question. All in favor? So sorry, Dave. Thank you.
Mr. Deputy Mayor, I just want to make one comment before we move on. And Mr. Davison touched on it, but one of the things that we're starting to see, and it's becoming, we're not at this point yet, but we're going to get to a point with both provincial grant dollars for capital and federal government grants for capital, where Mr. Davison talked about, they want an asset management readiness scale. There's gonna be a minimum threshold on that scale, and that is coming. Like, if you don't hit a certain minimum threshold on that scale, you won't be eligible for grants. They just won't be there. And whether that's STIP or SHIF or
The other 15 acronyms?
yeah, AMWAP or any of those grants. I think the only one that has the potential to be probably exempt is your LGFF capital funds. But all the other grants that aren't guaranteed to you on an annual basis, all the ones that you have to apply, the day is coming where you have to meet a certain threshold on the scale or you're just not going to be eligible. And that's what we're working on right now. Are we there yet? No. But neither are the neither is the province and the feds in getting to that point. So we're just trying to get ahead of the scale because we're no longer eligible for those grants. As everybody in this room is aware, if we're not eligible for those grants anymore because of, quite frankly, an administrative item, then that's shame on us.
Thank you, Ken. I guess, Garnet, you're doing the next policy.
Back up again.
Yeah.
Deputy Mayor and members of council. So bringing forward control of trees and shrubs and boulevards. This one's a pretty straightforward one. There's just some verbiage changes, and obviously we added a little bit of a piece about Dutch elm disease to the policy. So I'll go through, hit some of the highlights. To present council with a revised version of policy 414, control of trees and shrubs on boulevards and public lands for consideration and approval. The new draft reflects updated administrative processes, clarified responsibilities, and improved definitions while preserving the core intent of the tree conservation and public safety. So basically what that means is that, excuse me, we have not changed a lot, but because we put it into the new format, we had to just format it out a little bit. So you'll see a few little verbiage changes there, but nothing that has a real effect on anything. If anything, it just clarifies roles and responsibilities. So again, we support the proposed motion. The original policy 414 was approved in 2009, has governed how trees and shrubs are planted, protected, and managed on town-owned boulevards and public lands. Since then, updates in organizational structures, safety standards, such as utility safety partners, and no longer being Alberta One Call, and administrative processes warranted a modernized version. The revised policy also adopts the town's updated formatting and policy manual standards. Excuse me, I'm clearing my throat a lot. I almost killed myself at lunchtime with a choking incident, and it's affected my throat a little bit. Pretty crazy. On to discussion, policy layout and structure. The revised policy follows the town's updated policy template, introducing clearly defined sections such as scope, definitions, responsibilities, and guiding principles. The modern structure improves usability for both town staff and members of the public engaging with the policy, and refined definitions and updated terminology. Reference to Alberta One Call has been updated to utility safety partners to reflect current legislation and best practices. The revised definitions avoid redundancies while maintaining clarity for boulevard, public lands, highway, and others. Clarity in roles and responsibilities. The original version assigned decision-making to the town manager and operational enforcement to the public works manager. The revised version clearly defines roles for the CAO and general manager of operations, aligning the policy with the current organizational structure and reporting relationships. Council retains its authority to review and amend decisions on appeal, as was in the original, and obviously number 4, we put in Dutch elm disease prevention and control. A new section has been added to proactively address the risks of Dutch elm disease, serious and regulated pest threat in Alberta. This addition reflects current provincial pest management requirements and ensures the town maintains eligibility for funding or support related to DED prevention. Financial implications: there's no direct financial impacts associated with policy approval. Indirect benefits include reduced liability exposure and protection of existing green infrastructure assets. Internal impacts: clarifies staff responsibilities across departments, aligns the application review and inspection process with current organizational structure and safety protocols. And as far as external impacts go, improves transparency and consistency for residents requesting tree-related work. Again, I won't go through the strategic alignment, but it's there for the reading. In reference to legislation: Traffic Safety Act, Municipal Government Act, Utility Safety Partners Protocols, and the Agricultural Pest Act. And I won't go into the communication plan because we are not there yet. And that is my report. Thank you.
Do we need to-
Just before, I think the one big addition to this policy is the issue around Dutch elm disease. I don't know if council's aware, but Dutch elm disease has hit the population of trees in the city of Edmonton. So it's, over time, it's moved its way from east to west. Edmonton was Dutch elm disease free for many years, and they have a huge population of Dutch elm disease in the city, as we do here. I would say that our percentage of Dutch elm trees in our boulevards is probably as high or higher than what the city of Edmonton has. So the Dutch elm disease, unfortunately, it's not a matter of if, it's probably only a matter of when. We have to deal with that, and so that was a big add into this policy.
Okay, thank you, Ken. Are we making a motion?
Yeah, so just on that motion, to Councillor Olson's point from the previous policy, this one doesn't have a financial implication really in any way, shape, or form. So as I think about it now, my belief is that it can be approved by council at this meeting. It doesn't have to go to a regular meeting. So that would be a council's wish. If council would like it to go to a council meeting for approval, just for consistency purposes, that's certainly up to council.
So I guess it's kind of backwards here. I guess it says proposed motion, administration supports the motion. So I'll do the one underneath.
Here, let's make this simple. So if you want it to go to, if council would like it to go to a council meeting on the 3rd or the 17th, then the proposed motion would be there. If council would like to approve it right now, simple motion that council approve.
Let's read the recommendation then.
Yeah.
Okay. Proceed with the updated policy number 414R, control of trees, shrubs on boulevards and public lands, as presented to a regularly scheduled council meeting for further review.
Yeah. Which
Discussion?
we would bring it forward on the 3rd for council approval. And for consistency, that makes it easy, but it certainly doesn't have to go that way.
Yep. Any discussion? Yeah, I'll call that question. All in favor? Dave?
Aye.
Okay. Now we're on to reports. Nina?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. a new look again. So administration is moving towards the implementation of time management strategies in June. So this document has been changed again to reflect the terminology and the areas of time management that will be captured. So again, we I split it out into ECDEV division and planning and development division, just to be able to keep it separate. So you'll see business licenses year to date, 96. New businesses, 7. The number 7 is actually a year to date, and I will change that on my next report. The 2 new businesses that you see below that are non-local. So I will be splitting that out in my next report as well, as far as what are storefront, what are home-based businesses, and what are non-local. There's been quite a few external meetings, special projects for ECDEV, and we are right now getting requests for quotations for a gap analysis as well as an economic development strategic plan for budgetary purposes. The mayor and I have been doing our business visitations around town. The Invest in Redwater portfolio is nearly complete and very close to print. The other thing that I wanted to mention in here is, and I don't know why I forgot, but we are hosting the Supporting Local Business Barbecue on June 11th at the Devonian Park from 11 to 4, and that is strictly for storefront businesses within the town of Redwater. It is not open to the general public. We've received 2 applications under the Reimagine Redwater grant program to date. One was unqualified, the other appears to qualify. It is under review. Development permits year to date would be 9 of them in total. 2 commercial, 6 residential, 1 industrial, 1 confidential development proposal. And then also in planning, we continue with the pre-development meetings with potential developers. Total final occupancy permits issued 14. And then moving on to there are no special projects under planning. Internal liaisons, that's just internal meetings that we have here. And so the 30-day focus is a combination of planning and economic development, so that's kind of incorporated in there. And long-term focus, and that concludes my report for today.
Thank you, Trina. Anybody have any questions for Trina? Okay. So right on to operations.
Back again.
Sorry, Dave.
No, that's okay. I'd just like council to touch base again with Ms. Lane regarding the business visitation program. Ms. Lane and I have been to half a dozen businesses together to talk with the owners. And I would encourage anyone from council who would like to accompany Ms. Lane for that. It was eye-opening, just some of the things that came about, just in general conversation with some of the business owners, small things. I'll relate to one event we had at a local business where the gentleman said, how come I have to fill out the same license with the same information every year? Why can't I just fill out a request to have my license expanded again for the next year? And it made a lot of sense. Rather than trying to come up with his business number and all of that information that we already have, he was talking about being able to just send us an email saying, yeah, everything's the same as last year. So good comments, good connections, and like I said, I would encourage anybody on council. I think Ms. Lane would be receptive to that. I'm not sure. I didn't ask her, but it would be good to meet up with some of our business owners and see what they have to say. That's all.
Thank you, Dave.
And if I could just elaborate too, so the completion of our business visitation, we're aiming for end of September, if all goes well. So, and then we'll be able to compile a report at that time. Feedback from the surveys that we're completing with them.
Awesome. Thank you.
Right, back to it. Thank you, Deputy Mayor and members of council. I'll go through my report, and as usual, I'll just hit some of the highlights, and hopefully everyone has read through, so if you have any questions, feel free to ask. In reference to project updates, sidewalk program RFQ, just waiting on a confirmation of start date. Our STIP project for our bridge rehab, I've just got confirmation today. We will receive tender this week. It has been a long process, and the government approvals have been somewhat of a hold-up right now. We are still going through transportation and economic corridors. They have to advertise for a 30-odd day period, and then we're finally, after that, able to have tender out, and hopefully we'll have a resolve on that tender pretty quickly. So it's it has been a long process. 64th Street overlay, kickoff date and schedule yet to be confirmed. Tenco Sander delivery has been pushed back to mid-June, so hopefully we'll see that soon. Sorry, I made some adjustments to the report as we got some dates received in, so I just made some quick adjustments. Arena roof repairs, looks like our start date is June 5 to 6, weather dependent, but hopefully that'll go ahead, so we'll see a few more pieces of action occurring in our area. We also have 52nd Ave kicking off on the 2nd. So we're off and running here pretty quickly. In reference to our recently completed, our downtown gas line project has been completed with minimal impact to businesses in the downtown core. It was the boys did a great job. There's been zero issues with that, so we're happy, very happy. Currently have an offer accepted for the bylaw position, and we're looking at a start date of June 16th at the moment, and so that should be good for us. Ongoing pothole patching operations throughout town. To date, we've gone through 12 barrels of pothole repair material. I cannot think of the word right now, it's escaping me. But we're also got some liquid rubberized crack fill coming, tar pots and squeegees, so we can get some crack sealing done in our parking lots. That's going to be our learning experience, so in the future we can start doing a little bit more in-house than we have been in the past. Homeless encampment removed due to threat to safety, especially in reference to fires. There was quite a big encampment south of town, and we got in there, and as you can see, we took a whole gravel load truck of garbage removed, and we had RCMP on site to assist. Staff have been collecting clay from behind the shop and using it to rebuild beaver-affected banks. We have seen a lot of beaver activity this season already, and to the point where he had almost drilled through our industrial lagoon banks and made a fair mess out there. So we've been putting in a little bit of time, putting some riprap in, and sending a notification into the regulatory bodies to let them know we were doing some maintenance on the banks. While we're at it, we took the chance to pull out. You might remember from the last time you were out there's a whole bunch of bulrushes and cattails growing in there. We're pulling those out at the same time, so it should come up a lot cleaner and be a lot more user friendly for us, and hopefully keep the beavers away. Road repairs in back alleys are ongoing, hauling material and leveling out. We put up 4 new citizen on patrol signage, which it's fantastic signage. It's reflective. They're on all of our entrance to the community posts, and one on the Public Works shop sign as well. Beaver Trapper has been back and started trapping in drainage ditches, lagoons and ponds, which is fantastic. As you saw, we completed the job at the Legion there in the sidewalk. It looks fantastic. I encourage everyone to go take a look at it. It really is a good job. They managed to slope the sidewalk up, reduce the need for a step, and it is done seamlessly, so pretty happy with that. Third-party crack sealing and line painting began on the 26th, and you'll see them around town, not recently with the weather, but they did start in the hot day we had there on the 26th, and drove through a bit of it. It was fantastic. Operations and maintenance. Repairs were done on both Parks trucks by Redwater Dodge, so we had some malfunctioning handles, and our AC had depleted, and we had to get our gas recharged, which is actually quite expensive touch. I've never actually had to refill an AC in my own personal vehicle, and I was quite surprised. But it is one of those things you need, as it is a safety piece for our people in the heat to be able to get in the vehicle and cool down. AE Engineering came and had a look at our bleachers to get a quote for the engineered drawings for the lift project as part of the CFAB grant. We haven't heard back from them yet, so I'll be knocking on their door very shortly to see where that's at. Jeremy worked at the ECC for Shrimp, as we know, in the logistics section for 6 days to help with the Redwater fires, which is fantastic. He got a ton of experience out of that, so it's very good for us and very good for him. Fieldhouse is open for the season. Strathcona Locksmith, we had an incident where there was a set of lost keys. Strathcona Locksmiths came out and had to rekey one side of the building, so we may see a future project to bring in fobs on that side of the building so we can quickly cancel rather than take the risk that there's a key out there and pay a pretty substantial price for a locksmith to come out and change our keys. Myself, Jeremy, and Dee Dee had a meeting with the Pioneers, who may be renaming to the Rebels, to discuss the upcoming season and a 3-year agreement we received from them. Going to make a whole bunch of changes to that agreement and go from there. There was some pretty outrageous requests in there. But at the end of the day, I think we're all on the same page. So we're looking forward to having them back because they were certainly well received in the community.
Fair to say it was a,
Christmas wish list.
well, it was a standardized agreement that they use for all of their buildings that they use, and some buildings are bigger than others. We'll leave it at that.
Started the meeting with this is Pembina Place, not Rogers Place. At the end of the day, it all went well. So, it's good. During a rain day, park staff built 5 more picnic tables for the campground, and as well as started to clean the arena glass and tidy up the light bulb room. Campground is getting some of their, a lot of their picnic tables are getting a little bit of a dressing over this year with some composite boards, and we'll move away from the wood boards. So. Onto some of the facility rentals. Not a lot going on. We've hit that period where we're in a little bit of a lull, but it is what it is at the moment. Utilized as a reception center during the fires, as we know, so there was absolutely no action occurring at that point. We did have a wedding in there on the weekend, and Wedding Wire again is doing really well in reference to us having 4 inquiries through that piece. It really does help us. And I think it's fantastic when people see our rates versus some of the other facilities and what they gain in this community as opposed to what they may see in some other facilities. And not to mention we've got the derrick and the community gardens and everything there, all the greenery, so it seems to be good, pretty big hit for wedding pictures. So. Onto the campgrounds, open and accepting registration via Perfect Minds this year, which is great. I want to see how this works out. It's another piece of that technology that makes it a little bit easier for people to get online and book themselves in. Onto picnic tables, as I mentioned before, we're doing some refurbishments there, which is great. Onto parks and beautification. So, as you probably saw, we did do our first round of Gopher Control in Devonian Park. Not very successful. I hate to say it, but I don't hate to say it. At the end of the day, we're no longer allowed to bait, and unfortunately, baiting was the most effective means that we've come across. So we've had last year we tried a different product. This year we're trying another product. They've both been about as successful as the other one was, and so the thing we gained out of this one is we can call them back. We've got a 6-month guarantee, I guess you would call it, and they'll come back and re-go. But this is going to be, with the removal of the ability to bait, this is going to be a problem, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm pretty good with the slug gun, not gonna lie, but at the end of the day, it's a very difficult spot to control. So we'll continue to try and find different methods. We'll continue to move forward and try and control it. But the downside is they're super invasive, and they will spread. And I'm already seeing them in different parts of town that I hadn't previously seen them in. Very disappointing. But at the end of the day, the best we can do under legislation is what we're allowed to do. So we will continue to try and find other ways. Outside of that, we did get our contractor back. They did come and check out the other side. We got them to hit that side. We also sent them out to the cemetery where we've had a lot of moles, voles, and a pretty pretty destructive porcupine. So we'll. I'm not sure actually. We haven't seen a lot of action from him just recently, but he did a number on the trees out there over winter, and hopefully we don't lose them. Is as best as I can say, because they love the bark, they love to peel it, and of course once you peel all that bark off it, it's goodbye tree. So I don't know where it came from. He's got to be pretty sizable, so we might.
is.
Yeah, you've seen him, have you?
I'd parked there and watched the helicopters for a while during the fires and the planes.
He came out.
He'd come right out of the little clump of trees in the corner there in the south end.
Yeah.
Yeah. Come in and look at you and go back eating.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll get him. Don't worry about that. We'll get him. Playground sand was sprayed with herbicide to kill our weeds and our grasses, and then we rototill it and rake out the weeds for removal. I know there was a little bit of feedback online in reference to this. We're more than happy to change our methods if that's what council would like us to do. But when it comes to, as you know, crabgrass in sand, it's pretty hard to just rototill and pull out by hand. Sometimes you need to give it a shot with herbicide. So you know, we do rototill, we do turn the sand over, and we do rake it. So it, you know, hopefully that is enough to help people understand our process. Community garden plots are 100% full. I mean, this is something that we might even look at expanding here in the future again. It's full every year. It gets a lot of attention, and we're very happy to see the community really enjoying that. And hopefully this year we don't have any visitors. In reference to the pool, Jackie completed some repairs on the pool basin, doing some crack sealing on the bottom and along the sides, as well as some cement repairs around the apron. We had a couple of pieces peel out from the apron, but they did a great job in patching it. We got them back to smooth a couple of pieces out, but other than that, looks good. So we're happy with that. Staff cleaned the trailer, and I would encourage you to go in. They did a paint job on the inside. Looks really good, actually. I'm impressed, and they did a great job. So the girls are off to a great start. Main pool pump was installed by Sturgeon Rewind. As you know, it was on the capital list. We got it in and done, and so far working really well. Connect Energy came to look at the outdoor lights. So our pool manager, Alexa, had mentioned that in the past they've done night swims. Said it was a great hit. So we're looking to do it again this year. But of course, our lighting is a little dimmer than it probably was in the past, and having that ability for the guards to see everyone well is important for safety. So we'll see what that quote looks like, and if we can fit it in, we will. If we cannot, then we will put it in the budget for the coming year and try and get that done as well. In reference to pool filling, waiting for temperatures to come up and AHS to do their inspection, but it looks like we could potentially be opening within tomorrow or the next day. So should have been some advertising go out today on that. I didn't catch it, but yeah, perfect. On to community services, summer pickleball has moved to the field house starting May, obviously, this month. Completed 56 tax returns through the community income tax program. I mean, this program has been a big hit for a long time and seems to be growing. So I'm happy. I would like to give a big shout out to our volunteer that comes in every year and does a bunch of these. She does a fantastic job, and we're very appreciative of that. So we will definitely pass on some congratulations. We might even look for something else this year, as she's been doing it for a couple of years, and it's a pretty big expense on their personal time. So. Home loan course scheduled for July 2nd, babysitter course scheduled for July 4th. In reference to events coming up, we've got the Planting Bee coming up on the 29th, Senior Celebration event June 4th, and of course the Big Bin event returns this year from June 5th to 9th, and we are collaborating with the library for their electronics roundup, which is fantastic. They are going to have a bin delivered to us and to Pamela, and we'll go back through that piece again. You've probably seen the advertisements out already. We've had a few online. We're looking forward to seeing how much that takes off this year. FCSS, the month was busy helping displaced residents due to wildfire in the area, combined with a short temporary ESS setup. And in reference to Sturgeon County, our staff assisted Sturgeon County with staffing and manning both reception center and info for residents to returning back after the fire evacuation. So that is my report. Thank you.
You got it. Go ahead, Connie.
One thing caught my eye, and could you please tell me what a smart manhole cover completely is? What is a smart manhole?
So I guess the short version, Connie, is it's not a dumb one, like the ones we have on most of our catch cans. So what you'll see on our catch cans right now is just a flat metal plate. And what we've purchased this year is basically a piece that has a digital integration, and it also has some AI in there. And what it does is it can tell you your flows that are going through the cans. It can measure a whole bunch of items, can tell you what some of it contains. We got a digital log on. It passes all that information online. What it basically does is it'll alert us to whether or not, if all of a sudden some flow stops, we know we've got to back up somewhere and we better get ourselves moving. So it's proactive rather than reactive. So what happens under normal circumstances is a bunch of people will call us and tell us they got a sewer backup. Let's say in reference to the piece that happened on the west end of town recently, if we had a smart manhole cover in one of those areas, it would have alerted us to the fact that we had flow just stopped. So it basically tabulates over a period of time, and it reads all the fluid running through. And if something changes drastically, obviously if we get a storm event or something like that, we expect the volumes to go up, and it reads it. But if we all of a sudden, our flow changes drastically, then it'll alert us that something's gone wrong. So yeah, and this is our first one that we're trialing. If it winds up not telling us a whole lot, then obviously we won't move forward with more. But if it winds up being very successful, it is something that maybe we'll get a couple of. They're great to have on trouble areas of town. As our infrastructure ages, we want to get proactive in how we manage it. The big piece being that if we can strategically place some of these around town where we think we have issues, it'll pretty quickly tell us whether we do or we don't. And it'll save our own staff time in having to always patrol the area and be pulling lids and having a look at stuff. So yeah, hope that answers your question, Connie.
Yes, it does. How intelligence has improved, eh?
The stuff it can do is pretty crazy these days.
Makes your job easier.
It absolutely does, yep.
Thank you.
No problem.
Go ahead, Rob.
The pump installation go good today?
Yeah, went well until we got to the bolt up kit. So what, it happens all the time. Someone's come into we've done a bunch of other little, as you know, we did the CSV valves and things along those lines. What happens is contractors come in, and when they clean up, they sometimes grab your stuff. And so there's special screw type bolts that go in the flanges of those pumps. And what happened is someone has walked off with them. One of the contractors that came in has obviously cleaned up and walked away with a couple of them. So while our pump is in, it's not yet connected. So we're good to go, but not good to go. As I said to Chris there, I said, "Man, how long are these going to take?" And he said, "You know what? Never had to order them before." Sure, but I'm going to assume, and this is purely assumption, that they're definitely out there. So I would hope that we'll see them within the next few days. But yeah, you got to be careful when you're doing multiple changes in an area, how you section off your stuff. And at some point, because they're in close proximity to each other, at some point they've cleaned up and they've taken our bolt up kit with them. So yeah.
Anything else? Dave? Okay, we're on to you. Corporate Services Report.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor, members of council. So May was a pretty tax-heavy month. It was a taxing month, if you will. So we didn't see a lot of movement in the 2021. We didn't see any movement at all in the 2021. At a previous meeting, it was asked what does that consist of? And although I can't give the specifics outside of a closed session, 60% of that balance relates to one group of properties. So our project over the next few weeks to a couple months is to be in contact with Municipal Affairs just to see what our options are in collecting some of that outstanding tax arrears. But we are seeing from 24, 23, and 2022, it's slowly chipping away. So I anticipate that trend to continue as we get closer to the July 1st penalty. So as of now, all current tax agreements are being adhered to, so we have 3 in total. One property remains on tax notification for this year, so the auction process is going to start in the next month. So you'll see an RFD likely in the June 17th meeting to start the process with that. This year, 16 properties were added to tax notification in March, and once they're added to tax notification, a letter is sent out to them to let them know that they're on notification this year, they'll be auctioned in the following year, and oftentimes that triggers payments as well, so that's what we've been seeing, which is great. As you know, the tax rate bylaw was passed for 2025 on Wednesday, May 14th. The following day, we processed the property taxes, got everything ready to go to be mailed out for Friday morning. And by some absolute miracle, the folding machine worked. I don't know what Liz does, but she worked her magic. But this is the second time in 6 months that we've had a Canada Post strike or almost strike, so we're looking at options for next year, not just their utility billing for email, but also if we can convert to e-billing for most of the property taxes and what that looks like. If there's any stipulations with the MGA, we're going to be kind of going through the motions with that, just to prevent a headache there. I reviewed the property tax rules for the linear properties as well, and currently all linear property tax accounts are current, so there's no outstanding balances to note, which is really great news. Moving on to utilities, we are seeing a significant decrease in utility arrears with the with the removal of the carbon levy and the removal of the $3 recycling charge, and then just like less consumption because it's warmer, people aren't using gas. We're seeing that bills are significantly reduced, and a lot of people that were having a hard time staying current are catching up, which is really great to see. Having said that, we still did have 4 shutoffs this month, unfortunately. Another thing to note too, that will be part of the budget process this fall. So the water meters, a significant portion of them were installed in 2008, and they are dropping like flies. So this is something that we're going to have to kind of factor in to make sure that we are changing them out. But Liz is working with the ops utility side to kind of stay on top of that and change them out as we can with all the other things that they have on their plates. Some bank balances. This is a bit of a catch-up month for month end as well, so I have the March and April financials. I won't go into all of it in detail. For taxation, we did pay our first installment of the Alberta School Foundation Fund in March, so that was $218,000. We did also pay, sorry, I probably should have highlighted them. We had our second quarter payment to the library for their grant payment, the $20,000 or just under $21,000, and the payment of the Northern Lights library system, their annual levy, back in April as well. And if council has any questions relating to the financial side of things, like, please let me know. And I just wanted to touch on my other section as well. So as I mentioned, so May is typically a really busy month in corporate services with the processing and mailing out of the combined property tax and assessment notices, and just like the influx of resident inquiries and traffic as they request more information on the changes year over year, begin to pay their bills, ask about assessments. It's just like a lot more traffic in the office after we send those out. So this May, my team navigated the week delay in like the passing of the property tax bylaw that allowed you all adequate time to make those like really difficult deliberations. And then on the other end of that, we had the impending tax or the postage strike. So we wanted to make sure we had the notices out a week before the impending strike so everyone received them. So it was a pretty big crunch. And so Thursday following the passing of the property tax bylaw, it was like all hands on deck. Everyone just focused all of their energy into getting these out. And what typically takes, you know, a week to complete, we had done before 3 p.m. on Thursday, had it to the post office. I mean, obviously we don't want to repeat this because everything went right, but if something went wrong, we would have had to manually fold like 1,400 notices and would have had some, you know, maybe some blisters. So I just want to thank my team for everything that they put into that process to get those out on time. And then in addition to this hard work to get the notices out, we were also they were fielding a lot of calls from concerned residents, especially in those early days of the wildfire at the Redwater Rec area. So despite being in the evacuation alert area themselves, and in one case actually evacuated from their home, they all handled the calls calmly and ensured that residents were given the information and resources they needed during this difficult time. So again, just like a huge thank you to my team for, you know, just weathering the storm that was May, and hopefully June is less exciting. And yeah, just upcoming. I know you see the word budget in there, so we're already starting the process of the 2026 budget. Liz this week did the recalculation of the pre-authorized tax payments for June, reviewing the reserve policy and strategy to present to council to be determined, the date there. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Go ahead, Ken.
Ms. Deputy Mayor, just to echo some of the comments that Ms. Tingley put out for our staff. I just want to personally thank all of our staff for the work that they did during the Redwater Recreation Area fire. From our public works staff, our front staff, the staff over at Pembina Place. You've heard me say this in a closed session. I have no problem saying it in an open session as well. You know, you would think you'd be surprised at how people step up when things get tough. And I'll say this, I'm going to be surprised the day that it doesn't happen, because it happens time and time and time again, not just here in Redwater, but all in other communities as well. But really want to thank our staff for, again, calm, cool, taking things as they come. We all know that you never know what somebody's going through. You never know what kind of phone call you're going to get. Our staff at the front, and a real big shout out to both Ms. Tingley and Mr. Cook, who did yeoman's duty between keeping the fires, I won't say that, that's a bad pun, keeping things running here in our office, but also being on the front lines of the fire. And I know they put in some very, very difficult days, very trying days, and still at the end of that put their work clothes on and came back to do what needed to be done here. So a big shout out, not just to them, but to all of our staff for the work that they put in.
100%. Do you have any questions? No? Dave? No? Okay. Guess we'll move on to the action list.
Not a lot of updates other than for Councillor Spicer, we do have the sign up now.
I saw it there. See how long it lasts.
Well, again, thank you to Mr. Davison. Again, we had something up temporary. It didn't last very long. This one, if you're going to take it down, you're going to have to put in some work to do it. And here's what I'll tell you. We'll put the work to put it back in. It's an important piece. It's an important, I'll call it a landmark for our community. It's something that I know a lot of our residents take pride in, and they want to see it maintained. You know, I think if you think about Redwater, you think about the Derrick, and you think about the CN cars in our town, and they're a source of pride, and we need to take care of them.
If I can just add something to that, Mr. Van Buell, what we really tried to do there was put something on there that didn't look gaudy and didn't detract away from the caboose and the cart, because at the end of the day, you know, we didn't want to rush into it and put 10 different signs up there and things along those lines. So I think Jeremy did a great job in taking his time and getting the right sign there. And at the end of the day, we made sure it was installed in the right place. I think it doesn't detract from the appearance of the train there, and hopefully it serves its purpose. So.
Well, it covers our liability too. If somebody climbs up there and Johnny gets hurt.
Yeah, and actually on to that matter, you will see the same on some of the Pembina Place infrastructure. We've again had early in the season, but we again on the weekend had some climbers. So you'll see very similar signage on some of our infrastructure north and south of Pembina Place. So.
Have anything?
Electricity works better.
Sorry, just to finish up here with the council action report. The development of the bursary fund policy, that's going to be at the Community Services Policy Committee a week from today, I guess.
No,
2 weeks from today. 2 weeks from today. And the proclamation for Seniors Week will be at the next council meeting. Other than that, most recent ones, I know that Ms. Tingley's working on the MMP contract extension, which was approved by council. Other than that, those are the newest ones and where we're at.
Do you have any questions for that? Dave? Okay, so who's gonna make a motion to go into closed session?
I have a motion to accept reports.
Oh, sorry, go ahead,
I'll make
Connie.
the motion to accept reports as presented.
Okay, thank you.
Deputy Mayor.
Thank you.
Call the question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Call the question, all in favor? Thank you, Dwayne.
Aye.
Thanks, Dave. And I guess we'll move into closed session.
I'll make a motion to move into closed session.
Thank you. Call the question, all in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
motion to come out of closed session.
Okay, thank you.
Question.
Call a question, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, Tina, go ahead.
I'll make the motion that count,
Has to catch up, it's fine.
Now we-
sorry,
It's recorded, yeah, it's fine.
make the motion that council approve the nomination of Rob Olson, Councillor Rob Olson, for the Alberta Municipalities Award of Excellence, and that administration be directed to complete and submit the nomination package in accordance with the award guidelines.
Does anybody want to discuss anything? Call a question?
If I might, Deputy Mayor, I just want to say I don't believe that there's a better candidate currently from our council who has the longevity, the experience, and the determination that Councillor Olson shows each and every meeting.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, I call that question. All in favor? Good. Thank you, Dave.
And abstain.
Yeah,
And Rob abstain.
one abstained.
Go ahead, Rob.
You know what I'm gonna say.
Yep.
Motion to adjourn.
Call question, all in favor?
Have fun, Dave.
Aye.